Good morning, y'all. Welcome to Coffee with Connect. We get together on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We get into God's Word and we have our coffee together. And yeah, thanks for joining me. Today's mug is a Disney's Hollywood Studios Starbucks mug that we got when we were down there in 2017. And now I think these are discontinued because I just saw something where they got a new design now because this year is the 50th anniversary of Disney World and all that. So apparently I'm going to have to get some new Disney World mugs because that's what I need, or more coffee mugs. So yeah, we're going to be looking at Colossians chapter 3 today as we go through our process of pray, read, think, write, do. And as we do that, I hope that you've prayed before we get in here and read together, and that you've asked God to show you something in His Word through this chapter. This is actually one of my favorite chapters in the Bible. In fact, it probably is my favorite chapter. I try not to do that, designate some things, but this is just a chapter I just keep coming back to over and over again because it's challenging to me, and it's also just a great a great look at godly living, and these are the things, right? And if you read the whole chapter, you'll see what I mean. But I just want to look at these couple of verses because these are ones that really that really hit home on a couple of things in our society and our world today that I think are going to be helpful to all of us, especially starting off our morning as almost like, here's a challenge for the rest of the day. So let's look at it that way today. So again, if you haven't prayed, pray. And now let's read, and we'll think, write, and do with God's Word here. Colossians 3:12 through 14. I'm in the NLT. So since God chose you to be the holy people He loves, you must clothe yourselves with tender-hearted mercy, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. Make allowance for each other's faults and forgive anyone who offends you. Remember, the Lord forgave you, so you must forgive others. Above all, clothe yourselves with love, which binds us all together in perfect harmony. You know, each one of the qualities that are mentioned here as Paul's writing this, they really kind of express themselves in terms of relationships. If you think about these things, tender-hearted mercy, kindness, humility, gentleness, patience, these are relationship traits, characteristics. There's a significant amount of our life, and our Christian life for that matter, that is found simply in how we treat other people and the quality of our relationships with them is indicative to our Christian life. Tender-hearted mercy, being sensitive to others. It's a thing that we should do. Mercy is not getting what you deserve. So doing that to others in a tender-hearted way, kindness, humility, thinking of yourself less. It's not. Sometimes we get that one messed up, but it's thinking of others, but it's a better way is to think of yourself less. And then gentleness and patience. And how do we respond to other people? Do we respond or do we just react? Are we short and filled with resentment toward other people? Do we instantly snap and just bite people's heads off? And is that maybe because we've forgotten about all these traits and about the forgiveness of Jesus that has been offered and heaped upon us that we so quickly forget about, don't we? So what about you? What is it that you could take from this, that you could write down, that you can then apply to yourself? Maybe it's both verses in their entirety, for sure. But at the same time, what's maybe that one thing that you can write down for yourself that you can work on, that you can actually what's something from this that you could get better at today? Don't put too much pressure on yourself in that regard. So be honest with what's something that you could make progress on today, and then what do you do with that? If you consider the huge debt that Jesus forgave you and me for, and you compare that to the smallness of the debts that we feel other people owe us in regards of maybe they've offended us or hurt our feelings or treated us poorly or made us feel awful, or whatever you want to put on that list. Now compare that to what Jesus forgave you of as a whole, completely forgave you of that. Understanding the way that Jesus forgave us, it should always make us more generous with forgiveness, in terms of giving out forgiveness, not less generous. It should make us more generous with the forgiveness that we give others. And then it talks about here at the end, love, right? The last verse there. Above all, clothe yourselves with love, which binds us all together in perfect harmony, or perfect unity, as another translation says. Love, it's the summary of all the things described in the package, in the passage here. And love, it really perfectly fulfills what God asks us to do in relationships with others. So thanks for joining me, and be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, and share this with maybe someone that needs to hear it. Join me again here next time so that we can have our coffee and connect to Christ's community, purpose, and God's word together. See ya.